So what exactly are we talking about today? Are we talking about zombies or Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah, let's just do Return of the Living Dead. We already brought it up. Might as well do it because you know the movie takes place
on July 3rd.
Welcome back to another episode of Film Asylum, where if you are crazy about movies, you belong here. We are your hosts, Colin Peters.
Hello, Colin. What's your favorite scary movie?
Jesus fucking Christ, man. I'm gonna beat you with my shoe.
Well then, Jeff, what's your scary movie?
Me still beating you with my mother. Come here, get the fuck over here.
Sorry, guys, something happened with my voice. I blew it out at work.
You one of Marge's sisters from The Simpsons?
Thelma.
I'll tell you, the DMV, it's awesome.
I'm just another living relative from Mama from Goonies.
So in case of you all didn't know, we are going to be talking about the Wes Craven classic from 1996, and that is Scream.
Hell to the yeah.
Dude, this movie is fucking fantastic. I can't believe that we're doing this right now.
Yeah, I really wasn't thinking about it a whole lot because I'm not too crazy about going to New Jersey, but seeing guys like Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard there, dude, I am so fucking pumped.
Nev Campbell, man.
Wait, you mean fucking Shaggy from Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, him too.
Oh, he is great. He's like such a great 90s icon. He kind of went under the radar too, but he is just... He's got it, man.
You know what else? I mean, Jen Harding just loves him, too.
I know, dude. She was excited the last time she got to meet him.
She met him a couple times, gave him a shirt. I mean,
she's such a huge Scream fan, too, that, you'd think she'd be on this episode with us.
Absolutely.
Damn shame.
I mean, what's the wrong with her? We're just fucking with her. We're not really doing Scream today.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Dude, she's not gonna murder us now.
Oh, probably. Did she talk about how she keeps a knife in her shoe or something?
I don't know. I didn't hear that much.
Possibly. About 2 hours, she'll show up with a ghost face and just start chasing us.
Yeah, her next piece of art is photography. It'll be all three of our corpses.
Dead, lifeless bodies, and then just like her pulling the ghost face mask off.
Yeah, but it'll be one up on her. We didn't do a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 then before she killed us.
What's that?
Dream Warriors.
Oh.
What? That's all you can say is, huh? For Dream Warriors? You motherfucker.
He's fucking with me.
I know.
He loves that movie.
He doesn't.
You motherfucker.
We used to watch that shit all the time. Don't let him fool you. No, we were just messing with our friend Jen Harding with that one, but we're actually going to be talking about something we brought up in the last episode. It just kind of happened on a whim because technically we were supposed to do a Monster Squad versus Goonies episode because Ms. Harding was upset that we did not have her on our Monster Squad episode. And we were going to actually get her today, but unfortunately she wasn't feeling well, and we hope she gets better soon.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Rest up, Jen.
Until then, we're going to keep it off on the back burner until she can join us again, because I think it would be a lot of fun to get her back on and talk about Monster Squad versus Goonies again. And today we're going to be talking about, it's a classic. It's definitely a classic. I mean, I guess it's known for being cult classic-y.
Yeah.
But it's almost a sequel to the original George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead, but yet it's kind of like one of those fork in the road sequels where you can have the George A. Romero, Dawn of the Dead sequel, or you can go the Dan O'Bannon who actually wrote or helped write and
directed
yeah.
too, I think. Yes.
Well, he directed this one, but didn't he write Night of the Living Dead as well? He definitely had some part of Night of the Living Dead.
He wrote Alien, Aliens, and a couple other sci-fi films in the 70s, so he was big into that.
But I believe he had part of Night of the Living Dead as well.
No, the original writer did. Was it John Russo? he wrote the book, and then Daniel Brandon took the book and actually helped make it into a sequel.
Okay, but I believe he knew George Romero.
Yeah.
I think he even did some work on Night of the Living Dead, and there was some contention of like this sequel owned thing sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to be talking about Return of the Living Dead. I don't remember what year this came out exactly.
85.
Okay.
85.
I knew it was before Friday the 13th Part 6 because Tom Matthews, who plays Tommy Jarvis, he's actually in Return of the Living Dead. And this was before he was in that.
That's right.
Before he was in Friday.
I'm not gonna lie, even with the whole thing we had planned for today, the reason I actually suggest this movie for today is because it takes place on July 3rd. And it's funny because I'm like, yo, we're recording on the 3rd, let's fucking do this.
Appropriate.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, like, this was one of those movies that I instantly fell in love with because of the whole zombie thing. But what kind of caught me off guard was what you were saying in the last episode, that you actually enjoyed this movie too, Colin. Like, normally when I start talking zombie movies, I can kind of see this glaze over, like, yeah, fuck it, zombies. But as soon as we brought up Return of the Living Dead, you got all excited. I'm like, fuck, we gotta talk about this.
It's true. I'm not really too big in the zombie stuff. I mean, I have my fair share of ones I like Shaun of the Dead's one that I find entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Night of the Living Dead, I do enjoy. I never saw all of Dawn of the Dead. It's not that I didn't like it, I just never came around to finishing it, really. And other zombie stuff, I'm just kind of hit or miss. I think it's because it feels so repetitive after a while.
But truthfully, it is. Like, honestly, I would say I'm more of a purist. I do enjoy Romero's, legacy as the dead father. But there are branches here and there that I do enjoy. Something from obviously Shaun Dead, Return of the Living Dead, and honestly I do enjoy Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead and Army of the Dead because I love when they bring something new to the table.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned that Army of the Dead because I saw that last month and that really fucking surprised me on how they actually turned the table and actually did some things new with that genre.
And that's actually, I think, was actually part of this because they were making the zombies actually smart. And they were able to talk, they were able to think, they were able to actually almost communicate, but not in the sense of we're communicating right now.
Right.
And that's one thing that always took away from this is they're actually smart.
Yep. Quick synopsis real quick of Return of the Living Dead. It's about a young guy who goes to a warehouse for a job, summer job kind of thing. And one of the assistant managers, I guess?
Yeah.
He's showing him the ropes, and then when the main manager leaves, he says, hey, you ever see Night of the Living Dead? And he goes, you know about the dead bodies and the stories about that? He says, well, that really happened. They're downstairs. We had a misshipment or something, and the canisters with the dead bodies that say toxic do not open, blah, 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 are downstairs. They say, oh, they're seal proof. Nothing can break through these. Well,
I believe the line is, he's a military grade. He slaps the shit out of the side of that barrel and...
this almost like a smoke and steam sort of comes out, and it releases this kind of zombie toxin, if you will, and shows the dead corpse in there. Well, I mean, corpse is dead. So, it's redundant.
Dead corpse.
So, this smoke or steam starts reanimating other dead objects, bringing them back to life in reanimation, and while at the same time is slowly killing the kid and the assistant manager. During this time, his friends, a bunch of punks, are just out cruising around having a good time, and at one point they say, well, where's Freddy? Because his girlfriend's involved with the group, and they go to see him at the warehouse, and here they find who eventually, we'll talk about him, becomes one of the most famous zombies of all time. And basically, more and more zombies just start reanimating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's like a typical zombie plot, but what makes Return of the Living Dead fun is, like I said, if you know zombie lore, it's kind of like this sequel, yet a spin-off, like a fork in the road kind of thing, like I said. It's kind of like the Halloween timeline where you can go the Daniel Harris or the Jamie Lee Curtis route.
Yeah.
But one reason why I really like Return of the Living Dead is, one, it brings an element of comedy to it. It is very entertaining and very funny. I enjoy the characters, and I like the fact that the main characters, especially the kids, are punks. They're typical 80s punks. You know, they got the leather jackets, the stupid hairstyles, and they're just wild and out there. Also, I liked the older characters as well. The assistant manager, the main manager, and the owner of the crematorium. I thought they all worked fantastically together. And this was also the first time you heard zombies say that they want to eat brains.
Mm-hmm.
They talk, as Jeff said. They communicate back and forth. It wasn't just.
Just like that.
And they kind of they keep the lore of the Night of the Living Dead in this movie, where, like I said, they mention, hey, did you ever see this movie? And they also say, like, oh, you got to hit the brain to kill these zombies. And that's another thing, is they don't die so easily by just killing the brain. Yeah. So it makes it more of a challenge, and you're like, well, how do they stop them? So you get this, like, really fun and scary adventure, because it's like, okay, you can beat them, you can trap them, but you can't kill them.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a lot more interesting than most zombie movies, where it's like, okay, yeah, you can run, you can, get a shovel or an axe and still fight them off, and they'll die and get another chance to escape, especially if there's an army. But these just sort of keep multiplying, is the way it seems, and I was more interested in that.
And the thing is, like, with this universe actually is in a universe where Night of the Living Dead is not just it happened, but it's also the movie. So they're like, when they keep referencing the movie, is the fact that, like, yeah, they made a movie about what happened. It might not be exactly what happened, but that's what it is. So that's why they were able to go, this is like a sequel to it, but it's also its own timeline.
Yeah, something kind of similar. They tried to do that with the Blair Witch Project, and it failed miserably with the sequel, because they had the idea that the Blair Witch movie actually happened, but they're wondering if it was real or if it was just like a movie, because the movie happened in the second one, and they were wondering, let's go to the film locations, let's go here, here, here. It didn't really happen. It was all Hollywoodized, but it actually did happen. So it's one of those things, but this movie did it better, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'll be honest, for this movie, it's been years since I've seen it all the way through.
Wait, what?
Yes. Yeah, that might be blasphemy for a lot of people right now. It was kind of when I watched In Search of Darkness, that sort of re-injected me and my interest to wanting to go back and revisit it, because I only remember a couple of scenes in my mind. I did see the movie all the way through at one point, but it's been a while, because for some reason this movie doesn't jump out at me as the premier best zombie movie ever. For me, it just doesn't. I mean, it is like this classic B movie, and I love that Dan O'Bannon has this great credentials of all these films in the 70s, and because of him, I think this is what made the movie a cut above what it could have easily been, a disaster, but instead it's actually a very funny comedic gem with some horrific elements. There's actually, I mean, that one zombie that says brains, like, it's actually a terrifying image of the way it looks with the eyes bulging, and then it just bites into the... Ugh. There's some things that just stick out to me, like, you catch me on a bad day, I can't watch that, otherwise it's going to be burned in my skull for a while.
Well, that's another reason why I like it. It has such strong imagery that, yeah, it is one of those movies that's burned into your brain. Like, if you don't have good special effects in a zombie movie, it's definitely going to fail.
You got to go practical.
Because if you don't have a good story with it, which, let's face it, most of them really aren't, like, story driven a whole lot, then you got to have good special effects.
Gotta have good makeup. Makeup's a priority.
Absolutely.
Robotics, animatronics, anything like that, if you can put that in there as well.
And they had that in this movie.
They did.
And I would say they also had a lot of, like, character development. So yeah, when they were starting to actually talk to each other, you can see that they are all friends. They're actually working together. Like, it seems like, all right, they've been working together for a while. So it made that character development a little bit better than, all right, you're just a person that's going to die. Oh yeah, you're a person that's just going to die. So it kind of makes sense.
You felt for the characters. They were really cool people. I mean, you could argue with the punks that they're unrelatable, but they seem like they're bad kids, but really they're not. They're really just kids, almost like they're going through a phase where that's just how they look, you know? It's the 80s.
Dressing up and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think the big guy even has that line, you think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.
Dude, as soon as he said that, that's all I could think of. So... Oh my gosh.
They're dancing in the cemetery.
That one scene there is always funny because they're like, oh no, Trash is getting naked again. Let's get some light
Again,
over
yeah.
it. And I'm like, wait, how often does this woman get naked? I mean, like, they all like have like really stereotypical punk look. So like you have the mohawk, you have all the leather, the piercings. As I'm like thinking about, I'm covered in tattoos and piercings. But
Bright pink hair.
yeah. But I was laughing at the fact that like I read more about this movie in the past like 12 hours than have actually checked it out because I just enjoy it, so I don't really try to look at behind the scenes, which I probably should. A lot of those actors had no clue half the stuff they were saying to each other. When the one girl says to the guy to go choke your chicken, they had to keep reshooting that scene because she didn't understand what the reference meant. I'm like, wait, you were that naive that you didn't know about, touching his dick? Get out of here.
Choking the cheek.
Yeah. And then, like, I know they're getting a lot of looks because of the way they look. Like, so they actually really shave their heads and stuff just to get that.
I heard about that. They all hung out together, too, to get a real feel of camaraderie together. And they said that when they came to doing the haircuts, they all went to the same barber and stuff. It's like, yo, what can you do for me here? I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, the main manager, I guess, who owns the name of the warehouse is Unida.
Unida.
Yeah.
Unida medical supplies.
The medical supplies are the reason why they have the bodies is because they get things like cadavers and body parts, like half animals and stuff. Like when the smoke is just all over the room. I mean, dead butterflies are alive. These like cut in half dogs and stuff for
jeez. Yeah.
What the hell is it called?
Medical
like autopsies and stuff. Like and
autopsy
shit like
procedures.
that. They're coming alive and barking, and they're like, "Oh my god, kill it!" And you just hear the fucking dog's dead.
I think my favorite part about that, like when everything starts coming alive, so the assistant manager and the new hire, pretty much are like, "What's that noise?" You just hear a banging on this the freezer door, and all of a sudden it's just like a naked yellow man running at them, and they're like, "What are we gonna?"
And they really don't know what to do. They're like frantic when they find out that the one body's gone from the canister, and they wake up and they're all like, "Oh, we don't feel so good," and so they're freaking the hell out. And what does the assistant manager do? He calls up the main manager, who's played by Clu Gallagher, who's I guess he has like a series of credentials from old westerns, I believe, but we probably know him best in our generation from being the dad in Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Oh yeah,
I
him.
that, and then more recent was Feast. He was
Feast.
he was in all 3 movies.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh wait, Clue was?
Yeah. He was
Not the assistant guy.
no Clue was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was in all 3. He was the only one to I think no. Never mind. I was gonna say he was the only one to survive, but no.
Because I know that Tom Matthews and the assistant manager, it's so bad I don't remember his name because he just passed away recently, and he's been in like Poltergeist, and I think he was even in the Shining remake. He's had like a pretty good series of
Tom
movies.
Matthews. Tom Matthews or
No,
the
the assistant manager that was with him.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
And then there was a Return of the Living Dead 3, which was like, I don't think they were in it, but the one guy who was the punk was in like all 3 of them.
Yeah, the main zombie was, he's called Tarman.
Yeah.
There are, how many? I think there's 4 sequels.
I thought there was only 2.
No, I'm trying to think. There's 2, there's 3. Yeah, Necropolis and then Rave to the Grave. So yeah.
Oh my god.
I've seen them all. The 2 is
I wouldn't expect anything else.
Yeah. 2 is a rehashing. They just changed a little bit of the story. They added some cool stuff. 3 was kind of like showing that the slow death. So it was one dude's girlfriend dies. He actually hits her with the gas to bring her back to life, and it shows that the whole like pain is existing is pain type thing. She actually starts like stabbing stuff in her skin to feel alive. She didn't, throughout the whole thing, it just kind of gets worse. Necropolis was essentially like a city underground that a bunch of kids discover that the government was working on this whole thing to like reanimate bodies for
Always the government.
Yeah. And then Raid for the Grave was probably the stupidest but most funniest storyline ever. They discover this canister, a bunch of college kids, and they turn it into drugs, and they start taking said drugs, and obviously things happen.
Oh my god.
But apparently the same canister that everyone is using throughout
the
these
first
entire
movie.
fucking movies has Tarman in it.
Well, Tarman's the guy who's actually in the canister that gets released in the very beginning of the movie, and then, as you said about the yellow man who's running around, that's where Clu Gallagher's character, but I believe he's Bert, because I remember the crematorium as Ernie, because they said it was Bert and Ernie.
He's Bert.
And then there was two medical, I think they were like ambulance driver, paramedics.
Yeah.
And their names are Tom and Jerry.
Oh my god.
They did that
That's
on purpose,
right,
that you had a
that's
Bert
right.
and Ernie, and then you had
Well,
a
at
Tom
first
and
they didn't
Jerry.
realize Bert and Ernie was what it was. They did the Tom and Jerry on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Bert and Ernie was total coincidence, and it wasn't until after the movie was made that they're like, "Oh, hey, you did that." He goes, "No."
Bert's called in, and he's like, I told you guys not to get any close to these fucking canisters, and they're like, yeah, well, what are you gonna do? So they they open the door, and they say, we're gonna do what they did in Night of the Living Dead, and kill the brain, and all of a sudden he should die. So this yellow corpse comes out like a roaring fuck, and here all of a sudden they try to like knock him down, and they put a pickaxe in his brain. They see it's not working, and I think Tom Matthews even says a line like, you gotta hit it in the brain, and Clu Gallagher says, I hit the fucking brain.
No, my favorite one is, it worked in the movie!
You mean the movie lied? So they saw his head off.
Dude, they saw the whole body apart. Like,
Well, when the head goes off, they're like, it's not working. So then they saw the whole body off, and they're like, well, what are we going to do with the body parts? Because the body parts are still alive, and they're flopping around.
and this is actually the first time it showed that each part was still moving, even after the head was removed. They cut up the arm, the hand. You just see everything still, like, grabbing. I'm like, this is the first time you see this in a zombie film. And I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, I never thought about it like
Exactly. That's why I was like, whoa, I'm watching it the first time going, this is different. This is actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
And on top of that, this is actually where the start of the whole zombie thing starts happening, like the whole reanimation.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bert says, my friend Ernie, who owns the crematorium, he's out late at night. We'll burn the body parts there. And so Bert goes over and he's talking to Ernie, and he tries to tell him that I got rabid weasels and I just want to put them in the crematorium. And Ernie's like, what?
That's inhumane. Motherfucker's like pulls out this gun. He's like, let me shoot him first. Like, it's all excited.
And then they find out about the body parts, and he's like, oh, okay. So they put him in the crematorium and light it up, and while the punks are waiting in the cemetery for Freddy to finish up, it starts raining. And while it rains, the smoke from the crematorium chimney all of a sudden has like the chemicals, I guess, in it, and the rain knocks it down, and then it seeps into the ground in the cemetery, and that's what reanimates all the dead bodies, and then boom, you have a zombie reanimation.
It's kind of funny, though. It's cool, though, because, I mean, going back to George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, it was radiation fallout from a satellite that was near Venus. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I do think it's funny, like, nobody actually acknowledges what really happened, how it all starts. It's all, like, a little bit over radio. This one's like, it was noxious gas from a canister. And you see it happening. And it's like, so this is the first time it's not like virus. It's actually just literally the decomposing body in a canister that actually helped release everything.
And then Zombieland, it was Patient X eating a contaminated hamburger that started the zombie apocalypse. So, I mean, I'm glad that they get more kooky and creative and funny with it, especially with all the zombie movies that have happened ever since we were graced with the presence in the 60s, and then the 80s they were more comical, and then even now they're still pushing the envelope, but as long as they can keep it fresh, it's great. I remember for this movie there's one memory, because when you're maybe sitting at home bored watching television, I was just kind of streaming through HBO at one point looking for like new horror movies to like gel with, to maybe like, ooh, I haven't seen this, I'll sit and watch the whole thing, see what I think of it, and be a critic later. And then Return of the Living Dead came on, and I never heard this movie, and it was halfway through, and it was that moment where the zombie's attacking the one girl, and then all of a sudden the aerobics video comes on television, and then he starts panning over to the TV. I'm like, whoa, that just turned all of a sudden. What? Oh, this is a comedy. Oh, shit. And I remember, like, that's kind of funny. I do remember that. That was like the first time I ever saw the movie. I thought maybe I should watch this from the beginning and see what else I missed.
Oh, you missed it.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, everyone's going to be like, oh, yeah, the one memory is trash in the cemetery dancing. But
No, me, it was the aerobics video and the zombie getting turned on by watching all the girls dancing up and down. And their boobs bouncing everywhere. Ooh.
I think the funny thing about that whole thing is, like, the trash actually explains her death in the movie, which I enjoyed. Because she's like, I'm going to die with a whole bunch of guys around me pulling at my skin. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, guys. And then she goes dances. And then later on...
That was, like, her fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, she even says, how does she do it? Do you ever fantasize about being killed? The actor from Joanna Man. He's like... Not really.
You saw that movie too?
I didn't watch it. I just know he was in it because I just remember that title. And Jeff and I saw him and Tom Matthews at a horror convention together. And I remember our friend Ivan was like, "Why is the guy from Joanna Man here?"
I think it's funny that people still know that movie.
Dude,
Return of the Living Dead and Joanna Man, boy. How do you like being known as that guy?
2 films on that resume.
In Joanna Man.
I'm sure he's done more, but still.
Wait, wasn't he in a Friday the 13th?
Yeah, part 5. He's
Oh
the damn
my
enchiladas.
God. Oh my
That's
God.
right.
This
Oh,
poor guy.
God.
Yeah, I know.
It's not adding anything to his resume right now.
I feel like meeting him and paying him money just to be like, I'm sorry.
Just give him a hug and be like, I'm so sorry, bud.
Was he kind of dressed like Michael Jackson in part 5 too?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of like that. You okay there, Jeff?
Yeah.
Got choked up a bit.
Nah, my ass was acting up.
You know, in part 5, he kind of looks like...
Fucking died over here.
He kind of looks like he almost came off the set of Return of the Living Dead in that movie. Or
It
vice
does.
versa.
Yeah.
Because they were kind of, like, aesthetically the same character.
Well,
They were
I
both
think
by Paramount.
I think originally this was filmed in '83, so it might have actually happened around the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so actually it goes hand in hand with what we were talking about. So the whole thing with the zombies coming back with the rain, they all start running. So half of them goes towards the car, the other half goes towards the crematorium. So that's actually why I brought up her death, because this is where all the zombies start popping out. We get the iconic skull zombie out of the ground, which Dan O'Bannon actually hated. And because everyone thought it would look like it was, look cheesy.
Corny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you actually see it on screen, it actually became one of the most iconic things for that movie.
Yeah, because I feel the same way. Like, when you first see it, you think, that doesn't look finished, that doesn't look polished, or something's wrong with this image right now. But then you see it attack, and then you see what else it does. Okay, I guess I was wrong. Okay, that is something.
Yeah, I mean, especially like how it pops out, and then also that song, what is it?
Do you wanna party?
That hits it, and then all of a sudden, like, everyone just, like, books it. Like, oh shit, well, she trips. All of a sudden, you see a bunch of zombies come out of the ground, men, by the way, and just start, and then start eating her. I was like, wow, that is actually very well thought out.
Yeah.
So then you got half the group that goes this way, and then you got the half the group that goes to the car. Well, actually, they all went to the car first, and then they split.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the other half then ends up running to the warehouse. They're like, oh, Fraze should be there. We should help him, blah, blah, the other at the crematorium. And then we get introduced to Tarman for the
Tarman.
first time, because they go in the basement and I think eats suicide.
Well, what happened was Freddy's girlfriend goes to see him in the warehouse. Might have even been before the rain hits, or as it's starting to come down. And she goes down in the basement, and she's actually hiding from him. And I think they hear her screaming for help.
Oh, that's right.
And then that's when they go down, and then, poor Suicide. He's the big dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, stereotypes alone, normally the big dude survives. Now, this motherfucker got eaten almost right away.
He didn't last at all. Like, Tarman, the first time you see Tarman, he pops out of nowhere because Freddy's girlfriend thinks, oh my god, Freddy, are you okay? And then you just see her brains.
And I love the fact that he's so animated about it. It's not just brains, it's brains!
Yeah.
Like, fuck, man, like,
Yeah, no,
calm down over
calm down. And this is like a decomposed corpse looking bad. I mean,
And the reason he's called Tarman is, like, he is so covered in black gook, and he's, like, dripping. and it's like it's all like muscle, bone, and I guess clothing. It's like it's all there. It's just dripping.
It's like if you see Friday the 13th Part 8 when Jason comes out of the lake and he's all just like gooey and wet from
always wet the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, why are you soaking right now? You've been on dry land for hours.
Yes. By the way, Thea's here. Oh. Yeah, so he's like really. Oh my god. I thought she was gonna answer again. Okay, anyway. So, get reintroduced to Tarman. He starts attacking her. He's actually using his brain. He's using a hook, trying to rip the door off because she's hiding in the closet.
Yeah, he hooks like a chain mechanism up to pull whatever she's got locked behind this closet.
Yeah, I guess it'll be a come along because he's turning one side and it's actually pulling the chain in, and it's actually bending the door out. And all of a sudden, her friends walk down and they all see is the chain being pulled. And then that's when I guess Suicide pushes the curtain, and then Tarman's brains.
Yep, and right away, boom. And you even see the teeth go down into his head.
You do. That's the thing that was for me. Oh God.
This movie does not skimp on the gore. That was the thing. They don't skimp at all. They show the bites, they show the brain, they show the gore, they show the blood.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing, like, that took me away, like, right off the bat. Because I'm like, holy shit, this is not what I was expecting either. Like you said, the comedy, the gore, everything, even the storyline, like I said, is actually, like, pretty solid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for being an 80s cheesy horror movie, it's like, it's one of those things that caught me off guard.
Yeah, for me, that's for sure. Especially when I went back to revisit the movie from beginning. But there was even a moment, I remember reading about this, where some of the extras were paid double for actually eating real calf brains in the film, and Dan O'Bannon, the director, was completely against this. Like, I don't want you guys doing anything you're not comfortable doing. And I think to even like prove his point, like he actually ate a little bit himself just to see what he thought of it.
No, he did it so because if he's gonna have them do it, he might as well do it himself.
Okay, so they were insisting on, yay, we'll do it. I mean, as long as you pay us double, we'll do it.
Yeah, that was the one thing I thought was actually really cool. So then it cuts back to the crematorium now. So we're already introduced to Tarman. They keep him locked in the basement, and their friends get out. They go back to the crematorium where everyone's like, holy shit, there's zombies outside. They're banging on the door. Bert and Ernie are like, what the fuck are you doing? And then they get introduced now to the rest of the zombies.
Oh, God.
And at that whole thing, they're like now blocking doors. They're blocking windows. Like, so now it becomes a typical zombie movie in that fashion.
Yes.
Where even as the rain starts stopping, you forget that, like, yeah, it's not just these two buildings. They're still in the town. So now that they are focusing on these two, the third story starts with now Trash coming back as a zombie.
That's right.
And then you start realizing the zombies are attacking the town. So it's like, yeah, they're still focusing on A and B. Now C's starting up to show that, like, yeah, there's more going on.
And they do call to get help for Tom Matthews and I can't believe I forget his name, but it's the assistant manager, and he, they're slowly dying because of inhaling the chemicals, and the two paramedics, Tom and Jerry, they're saying, oh, you got no blood pressure, no pulse, and they're like, that's impossible, because that means you're dead, and they're like, yeah, what do you mean no blood pressure, no pulse? And then, unfortunately, the paramedics, they go outside, and here they get caught up with the zombies, and they don't survive. And I think at one point they call in the radio on the ambulance at the hospital. They're like, hey, what's going on? What's going on out there? And while one of the zombies is eating the paramedics, he gets on the radio and goes, send more paramedics.
I love the fact that the zombie does that. And then the funny thing is, like, when they start sending more people out, because the other paramedic sees the trucks down, so they call in for backup. Because, like, well, there's no other paramedics, where should they be? And then we get introduced to a zombie that caught me off guard completely. The quadriplegic zombie that has no arms and legs. That was actually played by a real person.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that. And I was like, wow.
Oh, shit, yeah.
So then, as they're radioing up, they get attacked, obviously. It's like, they're even Bert and Ernie are screaming out the door, run away! Run away! And the paramedics are like, what? All of a sudden you just see someone just tackle them. And then just start going to town. And all of a sudden, like they're like all sitting inside, like trying to figure out how to get the fuck out. And they're like, well, my car's right here, but I can't walk. Ernie. I had to think of names. The 2 names I can remember. They're trying to figure this out. All of a sudden, the cops start showing up. Because, well, yeah, paramedics are getting attacked. That sequence is actually probably one of the most frightening because they're all sitting there. There's like, what, 6-8 cop cars in a row?
Something like that, yeah.
And they all stop, and they're like trying to figure out what's happening. And all of a sudden, you just see the trees line up with zombies, and they start attacking the cars. And I'm like, holy cow!
Yeah, they definitely pulled the stops on this one in terms of doing things differently.
Did you pull up the people?
Yeah.
I feel like I should hold up like cards of like, well, this person.
Yeah, James Karen was the actor. He plays Frank.
Okay.
Frank.
Yeah.
Wow.
Frank and Tom Matthews. So you got Freddie and Frank, who are the ones that are dying.
Okay.
Yeah. And James Karen just passed away pretty recently.
Not that hard. Was it last year or was it a couple of years ago?
I think it was a couple years ago. But I just figured that would help us tell the narrative better.
And Frank. I don't know, Frank. There we go.
Yeah. I told you, Frank, not to go down. There's damn tanks. Now it's all clicking. It's been a while.
I can't remember even Dan O'Bannon saying, like, he was surprised at how much of a large female presence was at the movies watching this film in theaters. He said, if I had known that females were more into this movie than some of the men, I would have put more images of Freddy naked. Or I would have made him go naked in this movie.
Well, we should also mention that Trash is played by Linnea Quigley, who's a bit of a scream queen.
Yes, she is.
I mean, she's been in Night of the Demons. I mean, we have an opinion on that movie. Silent Night, Deadly Night. She's the one who gets killed on the antlers.
The antlers, the
rack on a rack scene. And this is probably what she's most famous for, I would say.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, she's got this like really iconic presence. She's pretty much the only female that I think is actually topless in the movie. Mm-hmm. I know they gave her some like bottom portion so that she's not actually nude, but it looks like she's nude.
I was scared I laughed about this because I've read about it this morning. That whole sequence, they're like, she wasn't shaved. And they're like, well, you can't show pubic hair on TV, so they made her shave, and she was embarrassed about it. Because it's weird. And then they're like, holy shit, this looks worse. Oh, no. So that's when they put that underwear on her, pretty much, just to make it look like she is.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like she's nude, but she's really not at all.
I'm like,
besides her top.
I'm like, you made this poor woman.
Yeah, I know, right?
Go through all this crap.
I know.
And she was such a sport about it all. And when they talked about nudity about it with her, she was just like, "Oh, my dad was a doctor," and was just kind of like, like if you have a mature mind, is pretty much how she viewed it.
Yeah.
Like I don't care, be naked, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, good for her, because people get weird about nudity, which I don't understand. I think it's a cultural thing because of how society views it, but I mean, even as a young kid, I was just like, so. And then you go through puberty and you're like, oh, okay. But then after that, the hormones die down and you're like, all right, so what?
Yeah. It's still a really terrifying jump scare she provides when she's just walking down that street and then you just see...
That's a cool shot, too.
And all of a sudden you just see, like, her looking like Pennywise from It and just chomping down the guy's neck all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the most important part of Night of the Living Dead, though, is when the zombies start breaking into the crematorium or the funeral home.
Return of the Living Dead. You said
Night of the Living Dead. Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living
Dead. Too many.
Too many deads.
I think I saw the poster over there, maybe, and that's...
Deads.
But
a lot of deads.
Anyway, I think the important part is when they start attacking the funeral home, and they actually get the one with the cut off torso, or they cut.
Yeah,
they cut her in half because she just ate somebody's brain, literally.
And the kid with the mohawk.
Yeah.
Yep, she got him.
Scuzz.
And then they start interrogating the zombie because they know they can communicate and speak to a degree, and they find out.
Yeah, they trap her on the autopsy table or whatever you want to call it.
Most of this movie, from this point on, does take place in that the autopsy room, because he said that's the only one that has big steel doors, metal shutters, because now they know they're safe in just here.
Yeah.
So they're able to lock down that one room, and it's not big. So you're having like 8-10 people in a room who are now stuck here.
It's like this room here that we're in.
And when the paramedics say that the two guys, Frank and Freddie, are dying, they put them in the chapel. And then Freddie's girlfriend goes with them. And then even with the zombies breaking through, she wants to stay with her boyfriend. I'm like, cool, whatever.
You know something bad's going to happen.
Yeah. And they finally they're in this room. They're interrogating this zombie. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You can take over now.
But then they start asking the zombie questions because they know they can communicate. And she's... what was the first thing she says? She's like...
They said, why do you want to eat people?
It hurts. It hurts.
No, they said, why do you want to eat people? And she said, oh, not people, brains.
Brains, right.
And then they say, well, why brains? And she goes, because it numbs the pain.
Right. Because it hurts. Death hurts. Yeah. Well, it's really just like a mouth opening, but then like somebody's doing the voice. Obviously, they can't like make. It's funny looking at it now though, but
I still think it's really cool because they captured even the spine moving around and spinal fluid. Dripping out.
The practicality and the robotics that they're using in that scene is really cool. And I guess it makes more sense that they just like mouth it because they don't want to have the zombie being completely articulate because that would look kind of stupid. I think because they're.
I don't think they mastered the mechanism quite well with it.
Probably,
I mean, that
could be the case.
Plus,
too.
on top of it, I think they didn't really like her audio was like way too clear. Mm-hmm. And she's like, not people, brains. You know, she has no lips.
Yeah.
So it should have been more like, yeah. You know, like
it was very clean dialogue. Yes.
So essentially, she's enunciating too much.
Exactly.
There you go.
But it was so crucial to the story because you finally understood like why the brains, and it was specifically brains. Not only did she say because it numbed the pain, but Dan O'Bannon, I believe, had read in some medical literature or somewhere that there's a chemical in the brain that does numb pain. And that's why they wanted to feast on the brains, not just body parts. And it was so crucial that it was the brain. I actually found that to be really interesting.
Yeah. So it could be the whole time they're always going for the brains, but if like your arms or legs get in the way, they'll go for that first, and then they'll work their way to the brain.
I think it was more just like if it was in the way, they just bit you.
Yeah.
But it's always like, brain first.
Chomp.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All I'm thinking is like, brains.
Yeah. When the shit really hits the fan and there's no sense of being safe in the funeral home at all.
Yeah. And then, so now with story C starting, it shows that the cops, the military is starting to show up, and then they all of a sudden, I think it was in play very lightly about the general who's supposed to be finding these canisters, that he pretty much calls in, checks in, that's it.
Yeah.
They don't really touch base when it kind of almost loops back around. And this is where they start communicating with him, going, hey, we think we found it. So all this craziness fucking is ensuing.
Well, the reason why they find it is because Clu Gallagher, Bert,
that's right.
He leaves with Miguel Nunez from Juana Man. He played Spider.
Yeah.
So he leaves with Spider and who else did he leave with?
Yeah, shit.
It was another punk girl. I think her name was Casey.
Yeah, didn't she have blue hair?
Yeah, it was like a bluish mohawk or something. I know her dress was blue.
It was kind of like flipped up.
Yeah, trash or red hair, you got Casey with blue hair.
Yeah. And they all went back to the warehouse, UNITA, and then they knew about Tarman, and I think that's actually where you hear Spider call him Tarman the first time. They said, yeah, there's one in the basement yet where the canisters are. You know, that ugly-looking Tarman guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they devise the plan and say, okay, I want you to open the door, and I'm going to knock his block off. So they open the door, and Clu Gallagher fucking knocks
he swings for the fences, too. He doesn't slow down.
Yeah.
And Tarman's head flies the fuck off.
Funny story with that. They would not give him a real pipe. Because apparently Clu had anger issues.
Oh.
So they did at first, and then they realized this problem, and they're like, we're going to give him a rubber one. So they switched it out without telling him on purpose. I'm like, when I found that, I'm like, why would you even have a real one on set?
Yeah, really. Well, sometimes they do it just for the look, for close-ups and stuff like that. But
It was the 80s. That was the excuse. It was the 80s.
Yeah, that could be too.
I mean, my God, the fucking Night Prowler, Tom Savini fired a real shotgun on set and blew some fake guy's head off, and then they had to run for the hills.
Yeah, well, that movie's so low budget. I don't think they can afford anything other than just getting a real one.
We go for realism. Use real everything.
But apparently Dan O'Bannon and Clu Gallagher actually had some back and forth. When
really?
you talked about anger issues, I remember hearing about that. And supposedly there was a rumor that Clu was chasing O'Bannon, but I think Clu shot it down. But who knows? We weren't there.
Yeah. Dude, it's the 80s.
Yeah.
We weren't even born yet.
But yeah, they get to the canisters because they wanted to call the military number and say, yo, we got to get the military involved. That's why they go back and do the canister thing, and they take out Tarman. And during this time, in the funeral home, Freddy has now finally become full-blown zombie. He's freaked out, and
I just want
Tina,
your pretty brain.
his girlfriend Tina, she's like running for her life, and I think they even had some sort of like sulfuric acid in it. They throw it in his face, and his eyes are all burned out. And then she hides up in the attic with Ernie because his leg's broken.
That's right, because the yellow zombie breaks his leg pretty much when he grabs it, and they're like trying to pull it away.
No, I think that's when they start breaking into the funeral home more, and they gotta like rebuild it up.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't remember that part where he grabbed that.
Yeah, I just remember. But they hide up in the attic, and he's got a gun with like one bullet or something left.
Yeah, there's not much there.
Yeah, and Freddy's trying to like break in there, and at one point he's even considering shooting Tina just because he didn't want the zombie getting her.
Yeah, like he's going back and forth. He's like pointing at her head, pointing at his head. I guess he's trying to figure out whether or not one bullet's gonna hit both of them.
Yeah. And it's kind of like the bittersweet moment because he's not doing it to, like be an asshole. He's doing it to like make sure she doesn't suffer.
Yeah.
No, or either one of them doesn't suffer for that matter. And so, meanwhile, back at UNITA, they actually get a hold of the military, and that's when they find the colonel, and they say, hey, they found the canisters, and they're like, oh, really? And the best part, they get off the phone, and I don't even know if I can tell the story with a straight face. the Clue's on the phone, and he says, I think Spider and Casey say, like, so what'd they say? And he goes, I think they said they are going to look into some sort of contingency plan. And they're like, what sort of contingency plan do they have? And then the next thing you see is some soldier going, like, hello, sir. Like, you get some phone call. Yes, sir. Launch code ready?
Yeah.
And
like,
the next thing you
there's
see...
no zero fucks happening right now.
You see this nuke, like, getting loaded up. And it launches, and then you just hear this pew, and then Clu Gallagher goes, listen, you hear something?
Actually, before this is happening, so Story C is still happening.
Story C, yes.
So they're killing everybody. The cops are fighting back. The military's fighting back, but they're starting to break through the barriers. All right, back to... Trash is like pretty much leading this zombie horde right now.
Oh my god, yeah.
Naked Trash is running through the city.
Yeah, she's still topless, pale, dead. Yeah. Still has bright pink hair.
Yeah. Yes, she does.
I guess it doesn't really change if you're dead. But...
No.
Well, like when Freddy died, he was still him. He just like went really pale. And...
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot to talk about Frank.
Yeah.
When he sees Freddy starting to die, he realizes there's no way he's gonna make it through. So he starts up the oven in the crematorium, and he takes off his wedding ring before he steps in the oven. He kisses it, and I think he doesn't take it in with him. He
puts it on the switch.
Yep, and then
and
then he gets into the crematorium oven and just burns himself alive.
That's right.
Because when he watches Ernie do it, he goes, "Oh, that's easy. I could have done that."
Yeah. Bada boom.
Yeah. Full circles.
Always.
But then, at the very end of the movie...
So we've got a screaming nuke heading its way.
Yeah. A screaming nuke, Trash leading a zombie horde. This nuke...
Did you hear that?
Yeah. And then Bert going, listen, you hear something? That's why when you hear some people go, listen, you hear something? That's where it's from. And then
But no. You get the audible.
yeah, and then like you get still images of Freddy finally breaks through into the attic.
You're hearing the
Yeah.
and hearing that one gunshot, and that picture goes stop.
It just stops. Like as he breaks into the attic door, it's just like boom, bang, it stops. Trash and the other zombies, they just look up, and then you just get a bird's eye view of the town. And the whole town is like obliterated.
The way that ends.
What contingency plan?
What is this plan?
We're gonna nuke you back to the Stone
But
Age.
this isn't the end of the movie. So
No.
Yeah.
No, this is the messed up part. That colonel's on the phone now. He's like, all right, we took care of it. And then they're like, what about the fires? He goes, oh, the rain will take care of the fires and everything else will put out. All of a sudden, it kicks back to the rain coming down on different cemeteries. And then the music starts playing again. I'm like, well played.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then comes the sequel.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
the sequel's pretty much just a rehashing, like Jeff said, and
Pretty much Frank and Freddy are grave robbers.
yeah, it's Tom Matthews and James Karen, and they're different characters. They're assholes. They are major assholes in it. I mean, and there's not really interesting characters in it. The military is more involved. It's about more suburban family.
Okay.
It was okay.
I never saw it. I don't
It's
have
actually
any
kind
opinion.
of, like, as weird as it sounds, it's actually boring.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's a rehashing, but there's nothing really new brought to the table. Except for, the zombie that dances like Michael Jackson in Thriller at the end. They electrocute all these zombies at the end, and then they're really doing Thriller.
Oh my god.
They do recreate the whole Freddy turning into a zombie, but he actually eats the girl this time.
Okay.
Because he actually does say I want your beautiful bride, and then he go bites her in the fucking head. I was like,
God.
Oh, well then, nice play, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like 3.
Yeah, because it, like I said, brought something new to the table.
And it was from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So, I don't think 3 really gets the credit it deserves because it was unique, it was different, and
It was actually a love story.
yeah, it was very much so like how far would you go to bring back somebody you loved? And I think people should get 3 more of a chance. I mean, I know we're talking about the first one mostly, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I thought 3 was a lot better than what people actually gave it credit for.
I'll have to sit down and watch it.
Maybe
I've never seen it.
It's on my Vudu account if you do want to check it out.
All right, cool.
Because I remember I heard like mixed things about it, but I thought I think it's something worth watching because it's different. It's another zombie thing, but it wasn't even about other zombies really. It was about this one girl that was slowly turning into a zombie, and the government was trying to train the zombies in a way almost to be weapons.
Yeah.
I think.
Like, trying to figure out how to control them, how to make it better.
And that always goes well.
Yeah, make the virus better.
Oh my god.
But in some ways, it's actually not a bad idea to turn something dead into a weapon and be like, hey, you don't do what we do. We'll stick this fucking weapon on you, and how do you like that? You can't kill it, but it'll kill you.
Well, essentially, that's the whole basis of Resident Evil at that point.
Yeah.
Bioweapons.
Bioweapons. Weaponizing things that shouldn't be weaponized, maybe. I don't. We've seen it in other movies, like Fantastic Four, the terrible remake, the terrible reboot, then the Jurassic World films, they try to weaponize raptors.
If you've seen those movies. I have not.
But you haven't?
No.
You've never seen Jurassic World?
I saw Jurassic
Oh,
World.
Well, you're a
but
lucky man for not seeing the 2015 Fantastic Four movie. You're a lucky man.
You oughta
Your
watch
eyes
it.
have been spared.
Maybe
Your
I'm just
brains
smart.
have not been raped.
Hey, listen, unfortunately I saw all the sequels of Jaws, so I don't know if that doesn't help me out.
It's a perfect weekend to watch Jaws.
Alex Kintner's anniversary. But yeah, that's Return of the Living Dead in a nutshell. I mean, I feel bad because we just kind of thought of this on a whim, and it was just the timing of everything, and I haven't watched it in quite a while, but I do really enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
A lot. I think it brings something very unique and different. It brings a little more depth to zombie films in general. I think it's also it's really not scary. It has some scary elements, but it's more eye-catching than anything with the special effects, the makeup. You can relate to the kids at a certain age, you can kind of relate to the adults being like the adult figures. So you had this like balance, and then the kids and the adults are working together. It's not like one's better than the other. There was like some little conflicts here and there, but
Yeah.
for the most part, it's pretty like compatible, and the pacing of it's pretty well.
Nice. Yeah, I know for me, there, as I said before, like there are some moments that like stick out to me that it's because of the excellent practicality and makeup and the gore effects. Sometimes there are images in that movie that actually kind of freak me out because what I'm looking at is horrifying and it actually looks so real. It's a good testament to the people involved in the technical procedure of the movie, and that's great and everything. But yeah, I mean, like I said, in that aspect, there actually are some moments that freak me out because for some reason, I had to look away. I get the same feeling with a movie called Creepshow 2, which I really don't feel like seeing again because there is one segment that still haunts me to this day. It's the number 2 segment, the raft. I can't watch that because I have like PTSD when I fucking see that. I can't do it. So actually, in this movie, there are like 1 or 2 scenes that I kind of have a little PTSD where it's like, oh no, don't look at it, because it will take months to get out of your head. So good for you, Return of the Living Dead, for freaking me out for a couple seconds and a couple scenes. You know, trash coming out of the fog, and then, you know, of course, Tar Man revealing his face and biting into that guy's skull. There's that. So.
Also, you got the brains.
Yes. Here's a joke. What did the zombie on steroids say?
Oh my God, no.
Gains.
Get out of here.
Boy, and I thought my jokes were bad.
No. And I thought my jokes were bad.
Shut up, Josh.
Honestly, this movie was probably a really solid one. And I don't really say that often.
I know.
Like I said, after finding out like how much you enjoyed it, Colin, and it kind of, like I said, took me back, and I was like, damn, this movie is really solid. Thea has now joined us.
Hi, Thea.
But yeah, like from beginning to end, it's a fun ride. You really can't have you're gonna have issues no matter what, because some of it's a little dated, but it's kind of the charm of the movie now. So, I mean, it's hitting, holy cow, 36 years this year? So I'm hitting 35. That means it's hitting 36.
Revealing the age. Favorite scenes?
Favorite scenes? Boy, this is actually tricky because I think the movie's really solid from beginning to end. The pacing's really good. There's really not anything that drags that I can think of. There might be some exposition here and there, but it moves the story along. But I think that like every time I come to a scene where I just go to, it's easily the ending. Listen, you hear something? And then that scene just gets me all the time. I'm like, funny. Yeah, that's really good.
Contingency plan.
I know, dude. That ending is probably the funniest too. It's like,
it's dead. Oh no.
Tell him, Thea.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
She's tuning in.
Join in for the show.
Yay.
What was your favorite?
My favorite scene probably is when they do sever the woman's torso, the zombie torso, and then they find out, or basically interrogating the zombie, finding out the information. I thought that was really clever about the reason why they eat brains is because it numbs the pain. And the idea of communicating zombies hadn't been seen until this movie. So to me, that is my probably favorite scene. Now, I can't exactly form a least favorite scene because, like I said, it's been years since I've seen this movie all the way through. I have to revisit it myself again, so I really don't have anything to say about a least favorite scene unless I watch all the way through. And for me, so I can't really form an opinion about that. That just takes another watch to check it out.
Mm-hmm. Jeff?
Honestly, like thinking about the whole thing, I want to say the introduction of Tar Man's probably my favorite. Because like his reaction, like the seeing people again, he's just like, brains. It's not like it's a little thing like, oh hey, like normal zombies. It's now like, hey, now I'm hungry.
And excited.
Yeah, and it
Just woke up.
and it's it's like showing how smart they actually became. Don't pull on that. But I really don't have a least favorite scene because, like I said, it's pretty solid. Like, it is what it is. It's a zombie movie, and I enjoy them. So
It's a zombie parody. I mean, we've got like a ton of them. Like you said, Shaun of the Dead. That's probably that might be my favorite zombie comedy. I think it would be Shaun of the Dead because that was. I can go on another episode about that, but we're not going to. But there's a lot out there. And
I think the soundtrack itself plays a big
You know,
part of
we
it.
didn't talk about
we
that.
didn't.
There were some really solid music notes and solid notes, solid songs.
notes to form the songs to beat the
yes,
soundtrack.
that's true. But the score that they had, and even the actual songs themselves that played a part in it, like we said, when the zombie comes out of the grave and it goes, "Do you want to party?" It's almost like so satirical that it's like, really?
Yeah.
Like this is far from a party.
I'm not gonna lie, I did just get a hold of the soundtrack for this.
On vinyl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I admit that I actually have the songs for that. I listened to that song. What's it called? Tonight.
Yeah.
We'll make love till we die. I think it's that song that Trash dances to in the cemetery.
Mm.
Because apparently, like, I was actually looking for it on. See if I can find it when we started talking about it. At least don't pull on that. Just at least have it, and then I found it. What was it actually this morning? There's 3 different colors they have right now. It's red, green, and then they call it brain matter gray.
Oh, so was it like Tarman Gray, Tarman Brown, or something?
No, I was like, I got hold of the gray matter gray, so I was actually happy that it was like one of the weird ones.
Brain matter gray.
I know. I'm like, why would you
all
choose
things
that?
to call it?
Yeah.
You're like shopping at Lowe's or Home Depot. Like, this one's called Brain Matter Gray.
Could you just imagine the people like, yo, I'm just such a huge zombie fan, I gotta have that in here, you know?
Oh,
Oh my
man.
god. But yeah, like honestly, the music does play a big part in this. So,
And the acting's solid too,
Yeah.
I think. I really don't find a
It
bad
works.
performance with it. I think that's part of the reason why the older guys mesh so well with the young kids, because the performances are really solid, they're believable, and they're very seasoned actors, the older actors that are in it.
oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
There was you know, like some seriousness to it, but you felt like it never really went too serious, and I think that's kind of how you should view the movie, is that you can't take it too seriously.
Absolutely,
It's really,
you can't.
It's really not scary. It has scary elements to it that can be frightening for sure. I think the scariest part is the actual visuals of it,
Yeah,
more
I
than
agree.
anything.
I agree.
I think you can watch it, like, for anybody that's, I mean, I knew I could watch it pretty much at, like, whatever age, because my parents didn't give a fuck. But, you know, and I think I turned out okay. I mean, I'm not a serial killer or nothing, but,
Are you sure?
yeah, I'm positive. I don't even like hunting. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, you don't want every kid exposed to what they show on there, but I think it's made for a pretty wide range of audience, and you can watch it and just go, okay, yeah, it's fun.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I think the pacing of it's really well. It tells a consistent story. There's interesting things, and, like, it gives you time to breathe when there is, like, some of that suspense where you're just hyperventilating and so, like, hands on the chest. Oh my god, are they gonna get away? Who's all gonna survive? And they board up the funeral home and say, okay, we can finally compose ourselves. But then Freddie and Frank are slowly turning, and it's like, okay, it's a matter of when, and how are they gonna get out of this? What are they gonna do? You know, because it's, how long is it gonna last?
Mm-hmm.
I also like the nice thing that it's showing from both aspects. So from changing from dead to alive, they show that, and then they're showing from the living slowly dying, and I thought that was actually really nice too. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so you're getting 2 elements. You're also getting the outside and inside element. So, like, yeah, you've got the zombie threat from the outside, and now you've got 2 on the inside that are slowly just kind of turning,
Mhm.
and now you got to worry about that. And that was a nice little touch because like you don't normally see that.
Mhm.
Where like yeah, you know somebody's bitten, you get rid of them. Now you're like, well, what do we do? Like, are they actually dying?
Can they be saved?
Yeah.
Because there wasn't like any sort of bite mark or anything that hurt them or nothing. It was just they inhaled the gas, and that's pretty much what ended it. I was like, okay.
I know Romero in Day of the Dead played with the idea that if a zombie bit you and you cut off the part before the basically the virus spread throughout your body, you could basically not be a zombie anymore if you stop the infection, burn it off, things like that. That's been played with in television shows and movies, and so that was something that's been toyed around and played with. But yeah, this movie, the title might throw a lot of people off, like it's another zombie film in the 80s.
Or they
like,
think it's a sequel to Night of the Living Dead.
Exactly.
I've heard some people think isn't that Night of the Living Dead 2?
Right, a lot of people would say that, and then they realize this movie is strangely funny. This doesn't feel like it belongs in this serious tone that George Romero started in the 60s and then the 70s. Like, I thought Dawn of the Dead was the sequel to that movie. It's like, well, like you said, it's a fork in the road. You can go this way, you can go that way. And they really do interject a lot of creativity in this film. And this movie basically became the catalyst for horror zombie comedies in the future. I would say it really all started with this film.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because there are tons of parodies out there.
Well,
Zombieland.
Well, shit, even The Simpsons had the thing where they're doing the brains, and then Homer at one point tries to sacrifice himself, like, take me, not my family, and they, like, knock on his head, and they're like, no, there's nothing there.
I forgot that.
And I think, like, even Flanders comes up to him and goes, hey, like, Hank Simpson, you mind if I, like, nibble on your ear? And Homer shoots him, and Bart goes, Dad, you killed the zombie Flanders. And he goes, he was a zombie?
He was a zombie.
I mean, if you look at it from the comedies that we got, like, from it, I'm glad that they happened. So we did obviously get Shaun of the Dead. We got, obviously, Zombieland.
Mm-hmm.
There's a string of other ones that are in there, like, ones that are not as, like, I guess,
more
mainstream,
there's
but
like
really
the
obscure.
Zombie Survival Guide, and that's like one movie, I think. The Scouts.
Yeah.
I forget what the full title of that movie is called, but it's something like that.
It's actually pretty funny.
Okay.
Pride and Prejudice versus Zombies or something.
That too.
There was a couple I had in my mind, and then, like, you started naming other ones, so everybody's like, no, not anymore.
Sorry, Jeff.
No, it's all good, but, like, that's the thing. Like, there's so many out there now. Like you said, even with the ones that became mainstream, there are also the strings that they didn't see. Like, one that I absolutely hate is the Bill Murray one that's The Dead Don't Die.
I heard very things about that one. Like, of course, the trailer says one thing. This is all marketing. The trailer says one thing, and then you see the movie, and it's, what the hell did I just watch? That was complete mismarketing, which is not something new.
Yeah.
It's been done before.
Wait, was it actually mismarketing, or was it that critics just thought?
Oh, I heard it was very mismarketing. The trailer looked really solid, and it looked like it was going to be another future zombie comedy classic, where I was like, oh, this is going to be damn funny. And then it's very artsy, and the humor is very far in between.
And it's dry.
The pacing drags.
Wow.
So, yeah. So this movie got very mixed reviews. The trailer tells a completely different story from what the actual film really is. Oh, yeah.
Another one that always sticks out to me is called Undead. It's an Australian film, and it is total horror comedy all the way through.
Okay.
So, like, the zombies are, because of the whole alien aspect, and then the aliens are actually trying to clean it up, so they start abducting the people that are infected.
Mm-hmm.
And, but throughout the whole thing, this group of survivors are trying just to get away from them. And I'm like, it's funny, because, like, at one point, they're naked trying to figure out if they have bite marks, and these zombies break in the house, and this dude kind of does, like, a front, like, flip, and these guns pop out from behind him, and then he, I'm like, where do these guns come from? Even the characters in the movies ask where the guns come from. So it's like, yeah, like, because of this movie, we've got a lot. I would essentially say, like, it laid the groundwork for more.
It did.
I think so.
Like I said, catalyst going forward.
If it wasn't as smart as it was, I think it would have been a total failure, and it wouldn't even have legs or any sort of inspiration for anything else. It was so important that it had to be smart, and Dan O'Bannon was the right guy to do this project.
Very self-aware.
Very.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love the idea about how finding out the chemical in the brains is what would help numb the pain, and I
Yeah.
thought that was really interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
Added more to the zombie lore, and the what if you can't kill them by just, cutting the head off or destroying the brain.
I feel like a good companion piece for this would be watching Reanimator with this movie. I feel like these two movies, Return of the Living Dead and Reanimator, like belong in the same night if you were to watch these two movies. They're similar.
See that.
They're similar in terms of like the dry humor, and then there's comedy injected, and then there's graphic horror and violence.
But both of them are smart, and that's
Yes.
the thing. They played it off well because this is smart and then really funny, where you actually have the narrative of Frank West being overly smart and not realizing that he is creating situations that are becoming humorous.
Mm-hmm.
Where this one, it knows it's humorous and it continues doing it, like just going back and forth. Like, let's do serious, let's do comedy. Where that, like I said, you have a character who's oblivious to literally everything, and he's creating these comical situations, not knowing he's doing it. It's not so much of the first one that I've noticed it in. It's more of the sequels that I've noticed where Frank West, played by Jeffrey Combs, plays a really dry character, and he plays him as very straight.
Mm-hmm.
But the actions that he's doing creates such a shockwave around him. He still doesn't realize that he is the problem, and that's what that movie needed. Like, that's what created, like, come on, the note about the cat in the fridge. Come on, cat's dead. Details later. Who writes that?
Yeah.
And you know what? That's actually like the age-old question, even in any sort of like comic book movie or any sort of hero movie that's got like a franchise to it. I think it was in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode, like the old 80s episode, where you guys remember Vernon, April's rival.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
The whiny little asshole. And I forget what the situation was, but he was saying that the turtles were a problem. He always said the turtles were a problem, even though they saved his ass in
my God, so many times.
every episode, and he still bashed on them. And the turtles were all like, well, what's wrong with him? Like, out of all the times we saved this guy, he's such a whiny little pussy, and now he's saying that we're the problem? Like, what did we do? We're always saving him. And Leonardo was the one who said, you know what, though, guys? Maybe we are the problem. And they're like, what? What do you mean? He goes, well, think about it. Everybody's trying to take us down, and we're in the way.
Yeah.
So we are essentially what they got to take away first in order to do this problem. And that goes in along with a lot of things in life. Look at like creating laws and like the way to live. It's always, well, how are you going to please these certain amount of people while protecting this certain amount of people? Yet, there's like this like give and pull where, we just have it. And sometimes we don't know that it just comes down to us or these people that are causing the problems when they just are so oblivious to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's really borderline psychotic when you think about it when you're not self-aware of it.
Seriously. How we feeling?
Sorry. I got distracted. He was like deciding to go, hey, I'm going to slide down your lap.
I got a 2-year-old.
Yeah. Dad, feature me more on the show.
She, honestly, I'm not going to show this one to her right off the bat. Like, right now, obviously. Very impressionable. But, yeah, when she gets older, I'll definitely at least introduce it, see if it'll be something she'll actually want to check out.
She'll lead her own zombie horde.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I can't honestly. Like I said, I enjoy this movie, and like I said, I'm still in shock on it. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't think it's that shocking coming from me.
A little bit.
I mean, it's more of the story than just about the zombies in general. I mean, it's not some boring cliche thing. The pacing of it's really well. You have interesting characters. It's hanging on the edge of your seat sort of thing. It makes you laugh at parts where you think nothing really going on, but it's like, okay, well, here's something funny, and it keeps everything going and entertaining. So it's really not boring.
No,
No, not even all.
no, never.
So that's why I enjoy it. I mean, I guess it's more of it being a movie than just a zombie movie, but because that's what it is. That's how I say it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's not that I hate zombie movies. It's just that most of them just get so, like I said, boring and cliche that I'm like, okay, I feel like I don't have to watch another one. And I mean, something like Resident Evil, I think was just an absolute waste.
Oh yeah.
The lame ass CGI and just uninteresting characters. The action isn't. I mean,
It became a Mad Max ripoff franchise.
Yeah, I guess.
And then like throwing in moments that harken back to the Matrix and other shit like that. This is not Resident Evil. This isn't. Get somebody to make this take place in a mansion somewhere. Please nuke this franchise. I think someone actually did after the final chapter happened. I recommend that no one see Resident Evil the final chapter. If you do, take Tylenol. Take the whole bottle of Tylenol for that matter.
I recommend nobody see any movies in the Resident Evil franchise.
Oh, God.
No.
But like you said, it's a cliche on a cliche.
But boring and redundant? I mean, so what the hell has The Walking Dead been doing for 8 seasons past their prime?
Yeah, well, that was just it. The Walking Dead was actually solid when it first came out.
Yeah.
And it slowly declined after that. I think
after Frank Darabont, the clashing between him and the studio, and when he left season 2, it's been on the downtrend.
Yeah, definitely in season 3, you saw it diminishing.
You did.
Honestly, the last scene I watched, literally, was when they killed the tiger, I was out.
When they killed Shiva?
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. Spoiler.
Spoiler. I don't care. That's like
Whatever.
what, season 3?
No, that's like season 7 or 8 or something. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I didn't even know there was a tiger in the show.
There's already 2 spin-offs. There's like one spin-off's been going on for 4 fucking seasons, and then there's another one that's just like airing this year or last year. I don't know, but they've honestly run their course, and I'm sorry to admit this, but I'm still watching The Walking Dead because, and people even ask me, John, why are you still watching The Walking Dead? Because I said, I started this season, I'm gonna finish it. If I have to trudge through a lot of bad episodes and a lot of shit, someday, it's gonna end. And I can hold my fist high and say, damn it, you watched all 10 or more seasons of The Walking Dead. I deserve a certificate. Give me proof that I've watched through this whole saga of bland shit that hasn't had an original idea in 5 years.
I will say this, to get rid of the main character, though, because he wanted out, that's pretty ballsy. I mean, not that Norman Reedus can't carry the show himself.
He's not even a character in the comics. He's a fan favorite.
I know, but still, that's awesome. I mean,
well, good for him. I mean, good for him for getting consistent work. I love Norman Reedus. Met the guy in person the one time. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Glad that he's finding work and everything, but sometimes it's just time to go. Just end the damn show, please.
Just like I think we should end this show.
Yes.
Yeah. We said enough.
We definitely have.
Return of the Living Dead, I definitely recommend for everybody. It may not be for everybody exactly, so I would say just definitely at least stream it or rent it or something, because, I mean, if you love horror films, if you love just entertainment, it's not the super laugh out loud comedy, but it does have like entertaining humorous moments to it that
it does.
If the zombie thing isn't exactly your thing, if the horror thing isn't exactly your thing, you may find some enjoyment at least out of the entertainment aspect of it in general. I think the pacing's really good, you have interesting characters, and it's just really a lot of fun more than anything. So you guys have anything else to add?
Nope.
No, actually, we said a lot. We talked really nice about this movie.
Yeah.
Really nice about this movie.
Yeah, I don't have too many bad things to say about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while since I watched it, because like I said, we just kind of decided to come up with this episode on a whim. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, like, if we come up with any more, we'll talk about it eventually later on. But
I wasn't able to write a novel for this one because it was such short notice. So I thought maybe I'll do like an iambic pentameter poem or something.
It's harder with our schedules now because you're back to work full time, and Jeff and I were doing the Jeff and Colin in the morning just to have content going.
Jeff and Colin in the morning.
Anthea joining us too.
Yeah. That should be Jeff and Colin in the morning. Anthea.
So with that being said, we all really enjoyed this movie. We hope everybody else will give it a chance, see what you all think, even if zombies aren't your thing. And if you're just a movie lover, hey, give it a go.
Or if you love eating brains.
Yeah, that too. Cannibalism. So with that being said, we shall sign off. This is Colin Peters.
John Rochette.
And Jeff Manfred.
Thank you all once again for listening. Stay safe. Stay crazy.
Please, somebody help me.
Oh, yeah.